Last week on The Wonder Guys, we took you to the historic city of Baltimore. This week, we're taking you 100 miles and 2-hour drive over to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, also known as Philly. As we said in the last video, we talked about Philly cream cheese and how it was invented here. Turns out we were incorrect. Philadelphia cream cheese is just a brand name, basically, of cream cheese that was invented in New York.
Womp womp. Even though cream cheese was not invented in Philadelphia, come to find out, the Philly cheesesteak was, and we tried a couple of them while we were there. Some were good, some were bad.
Some were really bad.
We probably didn't go to the right places, but hey, when you are hungry for a Philly cheesesteak in the middle of the night in your room, you eat what you can get. We checked into the Kimpton Hotel Monaco, unloaded our stuff, unloaded Rhett, and took a little tour of the room. Nice size bathroom, that's what DJ cares about.
I do.
But if you don't like busy, colorful patterns everywhere, this is probably not the hotel for you.
As per usual, we got to the room and Rhett decided that he wasn't going anywhere. He was exhausted from travel. I feel like we're starting to see a pattern develop with him. So we said, all right, well, we already have dinner plans, so we will see you later. We left him there at the hotel, which is a dog-friendly hotel, and headed out to our next destination.
So we headed out on foot, caught a few glimpses of the Liberty Bell and Independence Hall all lit up at night.
Which is stunning at night.
They were beautiful. And we met a friend for dinner at Giorgio's on Pine. Delicious Italian meal. But don't judge us, we had 3 desserts.
And also, one important note about this restaurant is that it is a BYOB restaurant, which evidently is very common in Philly. And so you do have to bring your own alcohol.
I have never been somewhere where you had to bring your own booze.
That was not either.
That was something. But the food was delicious, which totally makes up for it.
Agreed.
We absolutely love Philadelphia. It was a really cool city, very walkable,
very progressive.
And there were lots of stores and places of interest to go, including the fact that when we got back to our hotel room late at night, we were able to walk over to a late night cookie shop and get a dessert as if we didn't have enough already.
And when he said we, he meant for him.
I do like my baked goods. Allegedly. The next morning, we got out of bed bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and headed over to the Liberty Bell. Rhett was the first one to catch a glimpse, and he was captivated.
And also, I think it's important to note how rare it is that a dog gets to be standing next to the Liberty Bell, so the fact that we got this picture was amazing.
The Liberty Bell was free to go see. There was a bit of a line and some security, but it didn't take too long, and there was a history exhibit that went with it.
Which was really cool and we weren't expecting.
It was surprising, but really awesome to go through and read all the placards and see all the historical papers and posters and pictures.
And also to see how the Liberty Bell means different things to different groups and how many different groups have used it through the years as their mascot, I guess I would say. It was very interesting, much more than I expected.
A well-done exhibit, which is in a small building. It wasn't a very large building for what you were going to see. That was a bit surprising too. But we did make our way at the end to the Liberty Bell, and there it stands, all shiny and fabulous.
Cracked as ever.
Crack is whack, but not for the Liberty Bell. So we took our picture, did the touristy thing again. You really don't even realize until you get there, unless you live there, that Philadelphia is a really old city, very historic. There are statues everywhere. There's old buildings everywhere. There's old houses everywhere. Lots of old stuff and history, placards at every one of them telling you this place was this and that statue was that. Really cool for anybody who loves history to walk around and just wander and learn.
History galore.
So we took Rhett on a walk around town to explore and came across the Betsy Ross house. And if you didn't know where you were going, you would probably miss it because it is tiny.
It is very interesting, and we really did just happen upon it. And we were like, wait, what? We didn't know this was here.
It almost looks like a storage building. It's a little shed almost, but a 3-story building, I guess, where Betsy Ross lived. There's a little plaza next door, and Rhett decided to chase some cats.
The famous Betsy Ross cats, in fact.
Don't think that they were giving him a whole lot of chase action. They were a little stiff.
So I told him to come over and take a picture with me instead.
And don't they look adorable? A little ways down on our walk, we happened across another historical point one of the oldest inhabited streets in the country, and the oldest in Philadelphia, Elreth Alley, dating back to 1703.
And people do still live there. And in fact, while we were there, I even saw an Uber Eats be delivered. So it's very interesting to see something so old with something so modern.
Most of the historic houses are still occupied by private residents, even though it looks like something out of a movie set from colonial times.
Following that, we kept on walking through the city and came upon a cemetery. We weren't going to stop in because it was across the street, but we ended up doing that. JR went up and asked who all was buried there, and we were very surprised to find out how many famous forefathers have been buried in this little plaza.
Yes, we went there very much by surprise. We just happened to find it. It's called Christchurch Cemetery, and it's where Ben Franklin is buried, and 4 other signers of the Declaration of Independence.
It was very interesting to see Ben Franklin's grave, especially because it's in this random corner. It makes sense because you can also see it from outside of the cemetery and when they're closed. But it was weird placement, but very cool to see.
They were nice enough to let us wander in with Rhett, but you did have to pay to get in, so it was not free. But if you like old places and old cemeteries and lots of history, it's a great place to check out.
And for those who don't know much about Ben Franklin, or maybe aren't from the US to know, Ben Franklin is actually the inventor of the lightning rod. He also invented bifocals and the Franklin stove.
Our last stop of the day, you did have to buy tickets for and book your time in advance. It was pouring rain, but it was well worth it. Independence Hall. This was a really neat building. Lots of historic woodwork. Everything is still original, just about. It's still set up as if it was for the Continental Congress still in session.
It also smelled old, like old wood, like a building that has been there for centuries.
It has. That's why. The tour groups were fairly small, which was nice, so you could hear what they were saying about the history of the building. Interesting color schemes going on with these really old looks. Then they took us upstairs for the remainder of the tour. There's actually, I think, 4 or 5 stories, but they only let you go up for the first 2.
Yeah, there were 6 stories in total, he told us, which was shocking because it doesn't look like that from the outside of the building.
And there's like a cupola and a bell tower and stuff like that. So you didn't get to see those. And then I think the 3rd and 4th floors, they hadn't fully reinforced the floors. They're in the process of doing that.
Which you can tell when you're in there because walking the stairs, they creak and feel a little bit uneasy.
The 2nd floor was really interesting. It was more of a ambassador's set of rooms. There was a large banquet hall set up with some tables. There were some art galleries, a gun room, a little library, and even a piano. It could be a harpsichord, who knows? I didn't ask. Definitely some sort of piano-like instrument from long ago. And you get a great view of the Liberty Bell from the 2nd floor windows of the Independence Hall. There were still lots of things that we didn't get to do. We wanted to go to City Hall. There was a market we wanted to go to. Lots of history in this city. It was a beautiful place and we loved it.
We really did.
I wish we had more time to spend there. I was very surprised to find it was one of our favorite places that we had visited in the U.S. before.
We actually said while we were there, had we not been leaving the U.S., we would have considered moving there because it was such a cool city and we really enjoyed everything about it.
Very walkable, lots of things to do, lots of shops, restaurants. Absolutely love that town.
Yes.
But we had to wave goodbye and move on to our next destination, which was Newport. Join us next time to see what we find in Newport. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Totes.